Alright everyone, welcome back to another F124 game news. Today we're going to talk about dynamic handling as well. I've made a few notes. There is a video, a 5-minute video that you can go and watch yourselves, but I have made a few notes from this, and a lot of this is mentioned here as well. And then what's not been mentioned here, I've made some notes on as well, some critical things, and I'll try and give my thoughts. It's my personal view without any EA connection, bias, whatever. Bearing in mind that I've not played the game, I've not driven it yet, so I don't know what this is going to feel, what this actually is going to feel like. But I need to first of all get a little bit of a disclaimer to the previous video, because we've had a conflicting report about modding. Now, apparently modding on F124 should still be possible. Apparently not all the files are currently present in the beta version of the game, which is hence the database reference. Now, whether or not they just still decide to change this, I don't know. Who knows? So nothing has changed since F123, so in theory this should be possible. In practical, it's another story, because obviously we've got anti-cheat to think about. Now, I should point out, modding is not cheating. When you mod the game through the ERP archiver, even if you change the performance files in the ERP archiver, if you then go into a time trial session, you will invalidate your lap. Or rather, it won't record. So you can still set laps. It will allow you to set laps and record laps, but it won't record, basically. So the game already knows about that. The problem comes is when you've got deep level coding. That is how some esports drivers are cheating at the game. Now, obviously, rightly so, that's the Skyfall anti-cheat software is rightly needed to stop that level of cheating, but it should still allow modding for offline stuff and career mode. So I'm hoping that doesn't get in the way. Obviously there's still a bit asterisk about whether these files will turn up, or whether they will be in the locked file, or whether, as Josh says, not all the files are present. Who knows? I don't know. But yes, let's progress away from that back to dynamic handling as well. Now, I've got to be honest, they did something like this on F123 and it wasn't the best as well. This is the first gameplay deep dive as well. There will be another one next week on on career mode. You'll feel the difference on track when F124 releases. You might do, you might not. It's the biggest physics upgrade we've ever made in a Codemasters F1 title. I'm hoping they're going to when they've done that, they fixed the stupid contact model, because my goodness, we're still getting issues where if somebody makes contact with you on your right hand side, your left front end plate will disconnect, not your right one. Your personal driving style now creates new strategic racing opportunities thanks to a new immersive new handling model. And again, this something along the lines they had in F123 didn't really do much. I can't quite remember what it was called. Okay, this is from F123. I just want to show you this bit. Precision drive was what I was thinking of, but the handling and physics have significant upgrade on previous years, resulting in better handling, low speed traction, overall vehicle drivability. Now, pay attention to what I'm going to say here, because then I'm going to go back to the F124 page. Veteran players immediately notice difference. Vehicle protection is more authentic thanks to acceleration, braking and cornering. So they've upgraded the physics and stuff like that. On-track surfaces as well. I don't think they've been done, but they have done tyres as well. And then obviously this last year they had Anthony Davidson. This year they've upgraded to Max Verstappen as well. But yes, physical precision drive. This was introduced to help those who play on the pad, and to be honest, I didn't notice the difference. To be honest, playing on F123 compared to F122, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it just didn't feel any different. So yes, I don't know if this is still whatever this did. I don't actually know if it's still in the game or not. So yes, back to F124. Obviously, you've got personal. So I'll start dynamic handling. So yes, they've upgraded to Max Verstappen, as I said, wheel and pad. So yes, again, we had the pad last year. They've done new suspension. So suspension is a new one. I will give them that. As well, that gives our cars a much more realistic feeling of weight distribution, center of gravity. They've been given a revise. So to be fair, they have done stuff, but obviously you kind of feel like they could have done this last year. And you got to ask, why didn't they do this last year? Well, sorry, on F123. I'll point out when I say last year. The fact of the matter is that they redid the handling on F123. Why didn't they just do it all at the same time rather than spreading it out, spreading some of the changes over multiple games? More flexibility over setups. You'll need to prioritise the right suspension compromise depending on how each track layout and your personal driving style. As well, I don't know if that's going to be. Well, I think suspension. Wasn't that the one that in previous years everyone's gone the toe and the camber, if I remember rightly. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not an expert on setup, so I'm happy to pass judgment. Let me know about this in the comments if you're an engineer and you understand this stuff. Also, let me know in the comments whether you think this is actually going to be more realistic than what F123 had to offer or not. Now, improved tyre model as well. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, there is more steering angle available in F124 than in F123, which has caused some issues for some players in the first version of the beta as well. Improved tyre model, how tyres. Our temperature model is brand new. Now, I'm hoping that one of the big problems in previous F1 games was the AI didn't suffer from overheating tyres, meaning that, it was only the player that burnt their tyres out. So I'm hoping the carcass and surface temperatures now apply to the AI as well. That would be nice. Tyre pressures, ambient conditions, track conditions, and your own driving style. In clean air, a smooth operator can make the most of their tyres, extend their stint in the race, whereas an aggressive dirty air, locking their brakes is much more likely to damage their rubber and wear it out faster. I'm hoping this isn't going to impede on assist players, because otherwise, you don't really get much locking when I find I don't really get much locking, or not the animation anyway. As well, so maybe that's going to have an effect on the tyres. We'll also improve the tyres at the track surface in variable conditions. Yes, and I'm going to show you the wet weather gameplay in just a moment, but because I've actually shown a bit on this in the trailer. You'll also notice more realistic transitions between wet and dry, creating more jeopardy around wet weather to make all decision in box to change. Yes, basically they've changed the wet, so how this is again with tyre temperatures really. If you need to cool the wets and the intermediates like you'd need to do in real life as the track begins to dry. So this is the wet weather gameplay. Notice how close Bottas is to Zhou, and notice that you can still see. So, one of the things that some of us have been asking for is the return of the old F1 games where you have spray, and you know, you just can't see. Now I will admit it is intermediate conditions, but you know, the spray effect is probably not changed since the previous game as well, although yeah. So basically, I just thought I'd show you some wet weather gameplay as well, and obviously I think it was a bit section further here we go. Look at that dry line coming in, which is, I think, has been improved. I don't think it was that difference between on F123 compared to F124. If I show the dry line here and you know the wet line, so at least there's the dry line that's been sort of re-added. It made a bit better because it would just literally, well, go from being wet to being dry. There was literally no transition. I'm hoping now we're going to have a greater transition between wet and dry, but they still need to work on the spray stuff to make it much more like the older F1 games. Now also, one thing that team at Benjamin Daly mentioned is that with the steering, he found that low speed was awful and high speed was good, and I think that was just a trait that was an F123, that low speed just felt awful and high speed felt good. This was something that, so I don't know if they've really changed the handling model that much, but they have done aerodynamic modeling. They as you can see here, they try to improve the airflow. DRS apparently been improved, although what I heard from the beta is that DRS is still overpowered compared to real life. They have made variants between DRSs as well, so you know, obviously I presume there's going to be upgrades when you get that bigger wing and open it up. Then you know that's going to be a huge potential amount, and obviously it's going to vary from track to track, so hopefully the setup, how much rear ring you put on, will will have that effect from DRS, because you know we've been getting up to ridiculous 230 mile/hour speed limits in career mode. So yes, they've done some CFD stuff to bring it up as well. Excuse me, and obviously they've, as you can see here, they've done, this is they've remodeled a bit of the airflow as well, and trying to improve dirty air as well. So you know, reduction of grip, but I hope this doesn't obviously dirty air at the same time slipstream, you know, because obviously slipstream, I don't, you know, obviously it pulls a car in, but it may be a little bit overpowered in F123, to be honest, compared to probably what real life. But there we go. And obviously RaceNet is back, so you can still use RaceNet in F124 as well. Then we've got new power unit steering settings. Now I'm gonna have to, before I continue on, I'm gonna go back to the video just a moment to show you there is a new setup thing that they did show us. Yes, notice now on the transmission, engine braking has been added, so that is new for F124. I don't know what else is new in the setup just yet. As well, I don't believe too much else has changed, but obviously they have tinkered with how it affects the car. So as I said, with the suspension, so yes, you will if you've been trying to use setups that are based on F123, that's not what I would suggest not doing. That's my personal suggestion, and probably, you know, by the time the game comes out, a load of the esports drivers will probably have done some time trial laps, in addition to those like Alex Gillen, Tim Marduk and all that lot that was in this trailer, GB68, excuse me, as well. But yeah, engine braking, new stuff. Interesting to see how effective this is going to be, and whether or not it's going to compare, you know, what the best is going to be as well. But yes, ERS. Now notice that this is a race thing. It's got the F123 HUD, so I don't know whether or not that has been there. But notice, yes, notice there's no button to deploy hot lap. Instead, it's like F1 2019. Now, this was apparently a fan favourite thing that they said in the video. It's definitely not. It's a lot easier just pressing the button. I mean, I think the default is like L1 in my career mode. I changed it on my game to be the X button because I might have auto gear, so I don't need that. So yes, but I wish you could just have like a button, and I'm hoping it is button matchable, because if it's not, then that's going to be very fiddly. You know, I found it very fiddly in previous games to be switching between the different modes, especially on a pad. I know it's a lot easier for those of you who've got full-on racing wheels, because you know it is just a switch on a racing wheel. But obviously for us on a pad, you've got to come off, and it's in the unnatural D-pad position, depending on where, if you're on PlayStation or Xbox, obviously that position varies as well. I always find it a little bit I always found it difficult, which is why I had auto ERS on before they changed it to a button. So I'm really hoping that is a button, because I don't want this. I don't think anyone really asked for this to be that. You know, yeah, that's a little bit annoying. They have redone ERS, so it will drain faster and overtake as well. But yes, it will also as well, settings like hot lap can be used in the race. So yeah, it looks like that they've got the 4 settings, which is it's like F1 2019. No, popular demand. No, I don't think any of us were asking for this, Codemasters. No, but you know, yes, I don't think they've got the 4 settings. I think it's just literally 3 dials. Correct me if I'm wrong on the ERS, but yeah, this was not popular asked for, and it's going to turn players on pads off from using ERS. You know, I'm being turned off from using ERS reading this, because it's not a button as well. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's yet another blow to F124, because yes, you know, this is not something that we want. But yes, the next one will be career mode. That will be probably out next week. I'll be back tomorrow with some F124 mod, and then also on Wednesday with some F1 Manager 2024 game news. The better game, because you know, obviously they've listened. I've never seen any person say on F120 on any of the F1 games saying we want it back to F1 2019. Absolutely no way. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they also changed it based on feedback from F1 drivers as well. In F1 20, when they had the lockdown races, they had to race on auto because it wasn't realistic having all those modes. But yes, apologies for ranting on so much. If you have enjoyed this video, then leave a like, subscribe, and new to the channel to see plenty more F124 game news videos as I'm going to come out. Until the next video, then, I'll see you next time. Take care, enjoy your day, and goodbye.